What is up, my beautiful people? Hope you're all having a marvelous day. Exile451 here with you again for another daily dose of Reddit Happy. Welcome back to the week, everyone. Hope you all had a great weekend. I know I did. Going back to r/TalesFromRetail today for some stories that I'm sure are gonna make you smile. So sit back, relax, and enjoy the video. Back-to-back random acts of kindness. Hello all. I thought I'd share some good stories again before I get back into the bad customer stories. The background info: I am a 22-year-old male, and I used to work as an evening/night supervisor at a gas station that is linked to a larger retailer that is across the parking lot. Now, the way our checkout counter is set up, we have the chewing tobacco and cigarettes behind the registers, so only the staff can get them. This is pretty common for most places I've been. My boss likes to use the top of the chewing tobacco rack for storing our drive-off log, notes, and any other various papers. Sometimes, my boss will leave a paper showing a photo of a shoplifter, short change artist, etc., warning us of any potential criminal activity that we may encounter. Other times, there will be announcements for the employees there as well, so I got into the habit of checking it whenever I arrived to work, so as to keep up to date. One evening, I arrived at work and I checked the rack for any announcements or notices, only to find a gift card lying there. I saw there was a note written along the paper backing which read, "To the officer who receives this, please know that we are praying for you and support you with all our heart." I look at my boss who was about to leave and I ask him about the gift card. He replies that a couple came in and bought it and told us to give it to the first police officer who comes in. As we get officers in the store all the time, and we had 3 different patrol cars pull into our lot for snacks and drink at the same time without meaning to once, I figured it wouldn't be too long before one came by. Now, I know some of you may not hold the same view on officers as my company and I do, but I have a lot of respect for officers who risk their lives for us every day, and I love to help them whenever possible. I know there are bad cops out there, but all of the officers I have served at the store are all very friendly and great guys and gals, and I trust them a lot. I know they go through a lot, even in my quieter than normal city, as my station happens to be just down the street from the most dangerous intersections in my state. And as such, accidents are sadly quite common. Okay, back to the story. Now, about 15 minutes later, an officer comes in and grabs some snacks and drinks and heads over to my register. I quickly ring up his order and I was able to give that officer the gift card before he left the store. It was the only time I've seen an officer cry before, and I know it made his day even more than it made my night. The very next day, I worked a late morning to late afternoon shift, and I was doing the usual routine when a younger girl, probably still in high school, comes in to pay for her fuel. I ring her up, and she tries her card, once, twice, and then 3 times, but it doesn't work. She gets a little annoyed and asks if she can call her bank to figure out what is going on. I say, sure thing, I completely understand. It's happened to me before too. So I pause the transaction and move to take care of an older woman who was next in line while the girl is on the phone. As I ring up the older woman, she asks what was going on with the younger girl. I tell her that her card was having issues and she was calling her bank. The older woman asks if I can add the girl's fuel to her transaction. I ask if the woman is sure, and when she says yes, I add the girl's fuel to the transaction and the woman pays for everything, asks me not to tell the girl, and leaves. Just as the woman is getting into her van, the girl hangs up and said she's ready to pay now. I tell her it's been taken care of, and she looks at me in shock. She asks if it was the older woman who paid for her gas. I say that I cannot tell her, but she quickly figures it out and runs out the door to try and thank the woman. I watch the 2 of them talking through the store window, and then I look back at my boss, who is grinning from ear to ear. He looks at me and says, "I love it when that happens. We have a good laugh about it, and the days go well for everyone involved." In my work, I've seen that for every 2 to 4 horrid customers I deal with, I get a great one like this. I was very happy to have 2 great customer interactions 2 days in a row. OP, that is a wonderful, nice, just wholesome story of people just going out of their way to help one another. You know, like you said at the outset of your post, you took a break from all the horror stories to focus on just talking about some of the good ones that have happened to you. And to see that back to back like that is really incredible. Thank you so much for sharing these stories. It's really awesome that you had this experience, and I'm glad that you saw fit to bring it to everyone's attention. Please, if you have more, feel free to mention them. It's always awesome to hear about good stories like this. Yes, we do heal Pokemon here. Don't know if this truly belongs here, but I don't know where else to put it. I'm a dog groomer, and last year we had a picture of one of our former groomers standing next to a Ghastly from Pokemon Go that appeared to be on the grooming table. It was hanging up with tons of other pictures of dogs. Well, one day, a father and his 2 sons come in to pick up their dog. The dad says his youngest son has a question. The little boy was too shy to speak, so the dad asks for him if we heal Pokemon and points to the picture. The dad is winking at me, and the son has a Pokeball with a little Charmander plush inside. I said, "Oh yeah, just give me a few minutes and I'll get him all fixed up for you." I just took him to the back and turned on the dryer for a few seconds. All the while, the bather was looking at me questioningly, and I quickly explained what I was doing. She started crying. It was so sweet and innocent. I turned off the dryer and took him back out front and said, "Here you go, all healed." They said thank you and left. Just a short, sweet, wholesome story for you guys. Oh no, that is a short, sweet, wholesome story. Thank you so much for just going out of your way to make that little boy's day. I mean, that's something I'm sure he's going to remember for at least the next 10 years, if not the rest of his life. You didn't have to do that, and yet you did. And it's so cute and wonderful that you were willing to do that. Thank you so much for sharing your story. And you know what? I really hope your example inspires others to do even just those small, simple things that will make kids smile. Customer makes a stressful situation less stressful for once. In my 2 years of working in retail, I have never met customers that were this patient or nice. So a customer and their family comes up to my register to pay. They put in their rewards number and I start scanning away. When it got to the end of the transaction and I hit total, the system completely crashed. This happened 5 times at 3 different registers. Keep in mind, this was a big order. During this whole ordeal, the customers were extremely patient and understanding. They were even joking around with me. And hey, this was a situation where they had the right to be mad. Long story short, it turned out that their rewards number was somehow crashing the register. It worked the one time I asked them not to put it in. I was stressed during this whole debacle. And I'm grateful that the customer knew it wasn't my fault and was patient with me. One of the few good stories I have had when working in retail. Oh, you know, OP, I'm so glad that you actually had a good customer for once. There's so many horror stories about working in retail and the things that happen there and the employee abuse that goes on by customers. So to have something like this, where they're just really laid back and chill in a situation where they really did have a right to be upset, that says a lot about them. And it's not like it was either your fault or their fault that anything was going wrong, but it's still good that they understood that things were outside of your control. Thank you so much for sharing your story. I'm so glad that was a positive experience for you when it very easily could have been a negative. And hopefully maybe this story will make people want to treat retail employees better than they have in the past. Thank you all so much for tuning in today. I truly appreciate all of you showing up and supporting the channel like you have been each and every day. Make sure to be here tomorrow because I've got a really special story that I'm sure you don't want to miss. And be sure to like and subscribe if you enjoyed the video. Now go out and have an awesome day. I'll see you all tomorrow. Until then, I'm Exile451. Stay beautiful, people.